So let's go back. Let's go way back.
Let's not.
No, we got to though. It's inspirational. There may be
Uh-oh.
people in the same position you were. So let's go back. So you got
How far back?
we going way back, man. So DeVry. All right. So DeVry. We all heard of DeVry.
Yeah.
I heard of DeVry. I seen the
Yeah.
commercials back in the day.
Yeah.
You went to DeVry.
I
DeVry
did.
Technical Institute. How was that? What? It's a vast difference from where you are now and
Sure.
where you started. So. What
Should
were
we
you doing
start
at
like
DeVry?
before I went
Yeah,
there?
what was your inspiration? Did you already know that you wanted to get into the games industry? Did you have a liking to art and comics first, or what was that entry gateway for you to get into this industry, starting back in 89, 91 time period?
Well, it started like way before then.
Okay.
It started, for me in the 5th grade.
Oh wow, you want to go way back?
That's
okay.
what I'm saying,
okay.
right? Like
5th grade. What were you doing in the 5th grade that
In-
made you
in-
go, "This is what I want to do"?
Well, it started with my mother.
Moms are great, man. Moms are great. That's awesome. I said that last time because the other guy was like, "My mom, she helped me out a lot." Go ahead, man. That's good.
Mine's a little different,
Yeah.
right? So it's a few things. First, my mom made just enough money in the 80s in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where we moved into the white neighborhood, right?
Okay.
So we're in a white neighborhood, and when I'm in a white neighborhood, you go to white schools, right? So this is the first year. I'm in the 5th grade.
How old are you in 5th grade? What is that like? You're
Well,
like
I'm always,
10 or something?
I'm always a year behind because my
Okay.
birthday's in December.
Okay.
Right. So I was 9.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, that
So I'm
sounds
9
right.
years old, and I arrived to this all-white school, and I was the only black person. At
No
that
teachers,
school.
no nothing, no counselors, no black.
Man, no
nobody?
janitors.
Oh man.
Like-
But you're talking about like that's like 84, 85? Yeah, that was like a
no,
while.
no,
Is that-
I'm
is
9
that-
years old, so that's
Is that 70s?
yes.
God damn. Well, yeah,
That's
things are different.
19. It's 1980.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And so I get to the school, and I'm already freaked out because I'm looking around. I'm like, no, for real. There's like no one black here at all. And I open my desk, and when I open my desk, and it's the first day of school, so it's like, no one's been in this classroom. I open the desk, and there's a red box, Dungeons and Dragons, box set.
That someone left there previously.
Yeah,
Right?
they had to. It was the first day of school, so they must have left it on the last day of school, and they just didn't clean this desk out. And we talk about like destiny.
Yeah, man. That's really crazy. That's like it's like that Indiana Jones moment. You open the box and it's just like the lights gleaming on your
Or
face.
Pulp Fiction. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like when they open the suitcase and they're like, oh, what is that?
That's
The light
awesome.
shines in your face. So there's this red box Dungeons and Dragons set in there. And I'm like, what is this? So I open it up, and then that's, like when people say, like, when did you first find love? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was it. Like, I looked in there, man, and I didn't know before then what an elf was, what a dwarf was.
Or like you say, casting magic out of your hands, your
For real,
fingertips.
for real.
Yeah.
And so, and then I still didn't really speak to people. I wasn't like the Travis, like who will speak to
We
anyone.
all grow into what we have become now. So I wouldn't expect that. You would have had no problems. If you,
Yeah.
Or maybe you would have had a lot of problems.
it's so what, and so I took this book, these books, and I sort of just stuck my head and was just reading, like through lunch and all this other kinds of stuff, and just kept to myself. Then at lunch, these guys came over to me, and they said, "You play Dungeons and Dragons?" And I lied. I said,
Wait, did you have the book with you? You took it with you, or they just saw you looking at it in class or something?
Oh, it's these books were my friends. So,
Oh, okay,
So like,
okay.
so
So that
like
was
I
always
just,
with
so
you.
I had my, I
Okay.
had my head buried in it during lunch.
Okay.
And they said, "You play Dungeons and Dragons?" And I lied. I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, you want to play with us?" And let me tell you something. We talk about things that that you believe, like, your core beliefs. And I think that being a nerd, being a tech person or whatever, I found very few racist nerds, like people who are like into fantasy and science fiction, because when you find those people, they're so happy that you could talk about the same things, that it doesn't matter if you gay, straight, you black, you white, you whatever, you could be green. As a matter of fact, it might help if you green because they think you're an alien and they think, oh man, I done nerded up a little bit, right? So that was the start, right? And I truly believe that was supposed to happen in my life. And then it just went on from there. Like, and so after playing D&D, learning it, like, I started gaming on a regular, and I became, the dungeon master all the time.
Nice.
Right. And so when we go back to moms, for example, right? Like my mom's, she, like, look, my mom didn't understand me. I mean, she's a black woman from the South, right? So, and I remember this quote, like it sticks with me all the time. My mom just, I got all these comics and all these gaming materials around, and she said, Travis, your knowledge of elves and magic is never going to get you anywhere.
Oh, wow. Little did she know that was the key.
That it really was.
Yeah.
So now, been gaming for, all through, since that point, through high school. I remember actually not having enough money to buy a Dungeons and Dragons book that I really wanted, but I read this ad for this other game, and so when I went to the gaming store, I had just enough money to buy this other game, but not the Dungeons and Dragons book because I didn't have money for tax.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
goddamn tax.
Yeah, I know, right? So I bought this other book, and the book was called Ars Magica.
Okay.
Now, Ars Magica was a RPG that was all about magic, and to this day, I've never seen a pen and paper RPG that had better magic than Ars Magica. So I learned it, and then I went to my group, who I was a dungeon master, and I said, "We're playing Ars Magica." They got pissed. They were like, "What is this? I thought we were playing Dungeons and Dragons." And I'm like, "Nope, we're going to change it up a bit." Right? So I started that, and throughout high school, we played nothing else but my handcrafted adventures inside of Ars Magica.
Oh, wow. It was that good? Like, so you're saying that Magica lets you create your own thing instead of going from the stories that D&D normally has you follow?
Yeah, like, in D&D, things are usually like pretty rote. Like, okay, your 5th level, you do this. Your 6th level, you do that, and so on and so forth, right? There was no mystery in it, and you actually had to go, in my opinion, a little further to use your imagination. But this other game, man, like, from the jump, it was like, to be imaginative meant like you were a better player. And I was blessed with a group of very smart people. These cats I'm still friends with today.
That's awesome.
Right? So we did that all throughout high school. And then my mom, once again, says, okay, we're going to move to Atlanta. Right?
Man, she stripped you away from your boys.
And I got pretty upset about it, but I was just like, well, you got to go. You got to go. So what I did was I wrote a letter to the people who made Ars Magica, and I said, hey, can you take a look at all the stuff that I did throughout the years? And so I packaged it up nicely, sent it off. And so when I did, one of the people actually wrote me back and said, this is really good. Like, do you want to publish this? Right? And I didn't feel right. I was like, no, I don't want to publish it because I felt like, yes, it was my story, but it was the story of me and all my boys playing this game. And I didn't feel like intellectually that was honest because it's not just my creation, it was our creation. But I was really happy that it was that much of a quality product at the end where they would even ask me. So that person, Lisa, she says, I told Lisa, and this is back when we're writing like paper, like it's not email.
Yeah, there's
right?
there's no emails, there's no text messages. There's none of that stuff.
No, I'm sending
no
her
DMs.
like no, yeah, I'm straight up sending like normal, like written mail,
licking the stamp.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And she says, "Oh, you're moving to Atlanta." And I said, "Yeah." And she says, "We just got an investor in the company, and his only edict is that we move to Atlanta." Right? And I'm like,
man, that's crazy.
I'm like, word? And I said, I tell you what then, when y'all get there, holler at me. I'll help you out. Right? Okay. Now, this D&D group that I have, I'm sorry, it's a long story. But
no, that's fine, man. That's fine. So we're still talking about you. All right. So you've been playing for a while with them. So you started in 5th grade, but how old were you when you wrote that letter? Were you like
17?
Oh, okay. All right. So that's a
yeah.
Okay.
So now
Dang, you had years of playing.
Yeah. So I would like to think I was pretty damn good at that point, right? Yeah. So at this point, like I remember us sitting around the table, gaming, and my friend, my best friend still today, his name's James. James goes, "Man, wouldn't it be cool to like do this for a living?" And in my mind, I was like, I don't know about y'all.
You're like, can you do that? Is that something you can even do?
No. That wasn't even a question. I was like, I don't know about y'all, but this is exactly what I'm going to do. Y'all can do whatever you want to do, but this is what I want to do, right? So now I'm in graduated high school. I'm in Atlanta. And ever since I was 9, I taught myself how to program, right? But I hated school. Mm-hmm. I hated school, like with an all-consuming passion, right? And I always thought that I was misplaced in school because, like, the subjects that I loved, I would straight up get A's in. Everything I hated, C's and D's, because it just wasn't interested. So the prospect of going to sort of a traditional university was something I was straight up not interested in. I was not interested in because I knew the first 2 years of that would just be elevated high school, right? And if I wanted to learn about Chaucer, if I wanted to learn, any of those things, I felt like that's what life was about. I didn't need that, right? And I already knew that because I would go research that on my own. I wanted to learn how to be a better programmer so that I could go and make games. So that's where DeVry came from. DeVry says that their initial pitch was, we'll show you how to program first day. And I'm thinking, well, I already know how to program, so I'm on board for that. I don't feel like I want to go to a traditional university to learn about the Canterbury Tales. It's just not where my head was.
Because you're programming. If you went to a 4-year, you would have been doing math, science, reading, speech class. And
the thing about it is I remember because some of my friends, some of the people that I gained with were technical too, and they went to those universities, and that's the curriculum that they were already on. And I was just like, well, first of all, I'm a better programmer, and I don't want to do that. So, and not only that, but just learning how to program back in the late 80s.
Yeah, it's different.
It just wasn't. It wasn't obviously what it is now.
What were you programming on? Were you using like an old Apple, or were you using like doing like the Snake game? I know that was around. That's what we was playing.
It was an Abacus. My first computer was a VIC-20.
Okay.
A Commodore VIC-20. Then I got a Commodore 64. Later on, I had an Amiga, and then finally in the like late 80s, moving over to PC. So as far as what I was programming in, I started in BASIC and assembly language. In school, I started to learn COBOL and VSAM and JCL, and then started doing C. And this was real early stuff. So
early C.
Yeah, early C. So I get to DeVry, but the funny part about DeVry is that they were teaching people how to program, but they were teaching people how to program for like the New York Stock Exchange, for example.
Ah, okay.
Right. And so I remember actually during like freshman sort of orientation, and the professor would say, ask people like, what do you want to do, with your degree and all this? And, people be like, yeah, I want to go to the New York Stock Exchange and, or I want to do these counting and, and so on and so forth. And, and I'm like, yeah, I want to make games. And the professor led the class and laughing at me.
Yeah, I bet everybody's head turned like, what is this guy talking about? Games.
Games?
Yeah.
What, are you crazy? No one does that, like get out of here with that mess, right? And I'm once again found myself sort of,
isolated, yeah.
but this is exactly what I'm going to do.